How can I help you?
You're picking up the phone pretending that you want to help people, but you really want to rob them.
I want you to understand, legally and federally, I know what type of time waster you are.
Go ahead, please.
You want people to empty their bank account.
Why would you waste my precious time?
We call scammers. And man, they say the dumbest stuff.
Go ahead, please.
Hey, do not call this number again. Okay?
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking tickets or taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So, there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oops-a-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Did you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super! Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your, straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules for things they don't like. Not enough school? Smacking your child? Shouting too loudly? Then it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you, but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead, and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man, so you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man, or legal personality, is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy. Would you like to know more? Well then go over to tpuc.org. Get up, get informed, and get real.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Take. Thank you guys for joining us today. This will be an interesting day. I'm excited. If we will talk about this little video in a minute, but good morning, Take.
Everyone. Good morning, CJ. And thank you so much, Nelson. I'll definitely be taking you up on those 10 beers. So I can't chat too much today. I got a lot going on with all the different phones, and yesterday was just a crazy busy day. There's not enough hours in the day. So it was a full day. Calling criminals and studying and editing and watching our guests, some of his content. It's it was a full day. So I'm a little disorganized.
Oh, no problem.
More than usual.
Oh, okay.
What up, David? Good morning, David.
It's great to see everyone. In case y'all don't know, like a few weeks ago when I first got back from India is when Take and I found like the Darrell Brooks trial going on. And so we've been talking about that on air a lot, or some, not a lot. And so I said I wanted to have a sovereign citizen come on and kind of help us understand their beliefs. So that's what we're doing today. We have Dave on later, and he seems pretty cool. One thing that I'll be saying several times throughout today is Darrell Brooks did not run people over in parade because he's a sovereign citizen. Like, the two things are not connected. So sovereign citizens are not necessarily violent. They can or can't be like anybody else, any other group of people. Darrell Brooks's violent tendencies did not spout from his sovereign citizenship. But the reason that we're talking about it is because he brought up it in court a lot. A lot of his beliefs came out during the trial, or some of his beliefs came out during the trial. So that's why we're talking about it. So again, the emphasis is like the sovereign citizens aren't violent. The guy that we have on, I'm sure, I promise, does not condone the killing of people. The two are not connected. It's just that he brought in his beliefs during the trial. So we're going to be talking about his beliefs. And we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about with the case too. But I'll be saying that a lot today because I want to make sure that you guys don't think I'm saying that sovereign citizens are the reason he murdered people.
There's good people and bad people in every belief system. Right. Whatever you belong to, there's always going to be bad people and good people. So it's nice that we have someone on that can set the record straight. We don't get to talk to a sovereign citizen every single day. What I've been reading is there's about 500,000. Of course, it's hard to track, but I'm sure it irks somebody like our guest when somebody does something heinous like a Darrell Brooks and they claim that it was, associated with sovereign citizenship. So it'll be very interesting to talk with him. I've been watching a lot of his stuff. He's very entertaining, definitely down to earth. And what I like about him, and I won't talk too much until we get him on, he understands that not everybody will believe what he believes. Mm-hmm. But he can shut up and listen to the other side. Yeah. And that's very rare when any belief, I don't care what political party you belong to, I think it's a gift. If you can just shut up and listen to the other person, whether you believe it or not, and just listen to them. And he has that skill. He will shut up and listen to the other side. He might not agree with it, but he'll tell you why, but he'll listen to you. And I thought that was one of the themes I picked out from watching his content over the last week. So it'll be very interesting to talk with him. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's what we'll do today. I'll just tell you that it's first of all, let me say two things. One, Darrell Brooks being a sovereign citizen is like him being a Christian. I'm a Christian. Please do not take what he says reflective of all Christians. So that, for one. Second of all, yes, it's a controversial subject with a lot of opinions, and I'm going to respectfully listen to his opinions. I'm sure I'll respectfully disagree. I might not express we don't have to express it, every single thing we disagree with him about, you know. So hopefully everyone in chat will do the same. It's just a chance to learn about some different beliefs, and we don't need to change him or change anyone's beliefs. There's nothing wrong with listening without trying to control it, is how I see, how I view it. So,
to get him on.
yeah, so let's bring let's go. We're gonna go ahead and bring Chester on early, if you don't mind, because he watched the Darrell Brooks trial. So we could talk a little bit about Darrell Brooks and see if Chester knows anything about sovereign citizens in the UK. And while he's coming up, I'll just tell y'all a little bit, just to give you an intro, that from my understanding, and we can ask Dave later, my understanding is that sovereign citizens are ones that follow the Constitution. Well, not you, Liz, you're the exception. They believe they follow the Constitution, but that they're not under all of the laws of the government. And that video I played this morning is one view that a lot of them have, which is you are not your name. Your name is like a representation, like it's like an entity created by the government, but you are a person. You know what I mean? So many of like you'll hear Darrell Brooks say a lot about how he's he's a human being or whatever. That stems from that viewpoint that, like, on the court case, his name was printed there in all caps. So to him, they were identifying him as this entity created when he was born, like, by the government, but that's not him as the human being Darrell, if that makes any sense. So that's why he kept saying, like, when they said his name, he would say, objection, I do not identify with that entity, or whatever he said, et cetera, et cetera. It has to do with that concept that who we are on paper is not necessarily equal to who we are as a human being. So that's where that comes from. Is Chester here? Hello, Chester.
Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Chester. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's a little wet down there, right?
Down there?
Over there. Over there.
We don't want to know what's going on down there.
Perfect. That's what she said. Opportunity right there for you folks that follow that. Over there, I meant. It's a little wet over there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It stopped raining down here currently, but we're due
I'm wet too, sir.
Yeah, we're due to have a month's worth of rain being dumped on us today.
Well, you guys need it. You have all that farmland over there, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we've had...
I mean, when you think of it, England, isn't it like lots of rolling green hills and it's just bright and sunny all the time?
Yeah, don't forget the fog.
Well, that's what, you guys make great jackets. Those London fog jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gale force winds. I think it's remnants of some storms that you've had recently.
We're just returning the favor.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
Thank you very much.
We push all that negativity back to the motherland.
Yeah.
Well, due to time, I'm going to change topics from the weather back to...
no, that's all right.
Yeah, so, Chester, you said that you watched a lot of the court case. Did you just watch it on TV, on YouTube, or was it, like, on the news there in the UK?
A bit of both. Predominantly, it's obviously the initial news report in November, pretty much a year ago, 21st of November 2021. There was the news reports everywhere. But since then, I've been following the trial, bits and pieces, and I pretty much watched most of it. And there's been some really great commentaries and YouTube channel. I mean, we're not allowed to film in our courts currently. Well, that's not strictly true, but filming is not the same as it is in yours.
Right.
Oh, sorry,
so we don't use you don't use it for entertainment like we do.
We should do. I mean, we've got pretty much some entertaining things. Super Suction. Is that any better? Apparently, I'm a bit quiet.
It's okay.
Yeah, I turned you way up. The other thing I could do is take an eye down, and then everyone could turn their volume up. But I turned you all the way up.
No. I'm sucking on the microphone as we speak. She said.
You beat me to that one.
Yes. What a tragic story.
Right.
I watched in the early hours of this morning the sentencing as well, and the day before the impact statements. It's unbelievable. I mean, it defies all logic. I mean, I'm jumping a little bit ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
No,
You mean the crime?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So busy for the last 2 days. Just let's rewind for 1 second. The other day, like when it was scheduled, it had stopped, right? Because there was some kind of scare. Are you saying it's done? It's 100% done now?
Yep.
Yeah, it's 100% done.
All right, I got to catch up. I'd like to see those things. We could all use a good cry once in a while. But yeah, watching some of those victim statements, it's just a tragic thing. And that's when it really hits home that it's not just entertainment. I mean, people are without their loved ones because of one idiot. It's just so sad.
Yeah, and the judge, Jennifer Darrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. She brought compassion into the sentencing. If you see it, when she announced the sentences, she brought back the victims. And she was so moved. I mean, she had tears in her eyes. And if I'm being honest, I had the same.
Yeah, how could you not?
Impact statement. Yeah.
But that judge, if we can just talk about her for 1 minute, I mean, I know people have their opinions about things, but I don't know who can say anything negative about the way she handled it. She let this lunatic rave on and on and on because she didn't want this whole thing to get thrown out on a technicality. She gave this guy more than 10 chances to talk and to conduct himself in a lawful fashion, and I don't know how she got the patience to do what she does, but I mean, that was a very tough case, and I bet you there were lots of judges that were like, "Oh my goodness, thank God it wasn't me," and she did it. She did the whole thing.
She held it together during the trial. She laid the how her courtroom was going to be run, and he totally ignored, even down to the basic rules of courtesy. He just,
Yeah.
Not like you really. Well, it's a lot you can say, but she made it.
Yeah, I really, I think not everyone. I watched chat yesterday. Some people were saying negative things about the judge, but I loved her so much. There were so many times that he interrupted her, that she, you could see her just taking a deep breath. She never raised her voice at him. I'm sure I would have, just out of pure frustration. She really made sure that everything in the case was taken care of. And yesterday there was a lot of people bashing her on her statements yesterday because it was long. But I think, like, one, she never once got to say anything throughout the case about what she thought about anything. And two, again, she's making a thorough, like, explanation of why she's sentencing him to this sentence. So when he appeals it, like, he has to appeal the whole record. You know what I mean? Like, she was explaining exactly why he got that sentence. So I thought she did amazing. Yeah, she took her job very seriously. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate anyone that takes their job seriously, except for scammers, because they don't have a real job. And
I mean, they'll tell you they're working. But watching that, I mean, and of course we live in the scam baiting world, and we're on the phone with criminals, 5 hours a day at minimum sometimes. And people are sitting there criticizing the judge, like, well, why are you letting him act like this? Why are you doing this? And it's easy to criticize when you're not in that position. It's almost like somebody leaving you a comment like, well, why don't you bring up this or that or try this? And I'm like, have you ever tried calling these criminals? They'll hang right up on your ass in 2 seconds. So it's so easy to criticize until you actually do it. And very few people are going to be judges. So she did her job. She did it well. She let that lunatic rage when he raged, and she kept going, and she was focused. And I commend her. And thank God she has that job and not me. I'll stick to making the angry phone calls.
J-Day, just to summarise, this happened last year. Darrell Brooks assaulted his girlfriend, then got into his mother's car and basically drove into a Christmas parade. He killed 6 people and injured 68 others, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was 17 that he killed.
No, 6.
Oh, he killed 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it's 68 others. Basically,
gotcha.
He just ploughed through a Christmas parade of children and dance groups. The dancing grannies, I think, suffered a lot of the fatalities. It was reported at the time as a potential terrorist attack. So that's why it made it over to the UK news. Anyway, so that's the update, J-Day.
Yep. And the one reason that it was...
in the airport, I wouldn't have known about this, and I'm in New York.
One reason that it was so watched here was because Darrell Brooks represented himself. Which was, I'm not gonna lie, like, it's horrible to say, but it's true. It was amusing to watch because it was so ridiculous the way he conducted the law, from my perspective. But also, that's why we have our guest on today. So again, if anyone's just getting here, the fact that Darrell Brooks killed people has nothing to do with the fact that he's a sovereign citizen. However, we're talking about it today because he brought in some of his beliefs into the law, and I want to understand more about the beliefs. So we do have someone here that knows about the sovereign citizen beliefs, and he's going to teach us some things. The two are not connected, okay? So just making that clear. The person that we have on today, Dave, is not a convicted murderer, or we can ask him, but I'm sure doesn't condone murdering or anything like that. He's a nice guy. We just got to learn about the beliefs. So again, the two are connected, but he did bring in some sovereign citizen beliefs into the court, and that's what I want to learn about today. So what the beliefs are and how. So
yeah, CJ, he was legally represented. He had initially 2 public defenders who applied to the judge to be taken off the case, as Mr. Brooks knew best. So he was legally represented. initially, but they felt his views were not necessarily conducive to providing a proper defence, and they applied to be withdrawn, which was successful. Hence, Darrell Brooks represented himself, and for someone that did that, it's amazing how much legal knowledge that he did have. Now, whether that was jailhouse lawyers, I don't know, but he presented some stupid arguments, but at the same time, he also presented some very coherent and well-reasoned arguments.
I think Darrell is very intelligent. I just think, like, as far as the crime goes, my opinion is he was so arrogant he can't admit like that he was just full of rage and he plowed people over because he's so arrogant, and that if anyone missed it yesterday, the judge read a statement about his mental health. Did you see that part, Chester?
Yep. It was from the 4 doctors, psychiatric professionals, and similar consensus. He was compos mentis. Yes, he may have mental illness, but that did not affect his judgment on November 21st, 2021. He had every possibility of not doing what he did, but he chose to.
Yeah, and basically I can sum up that the statement by that person easily. He's been an asshole his whole life. Like, literally, is it not kind of what it said? He never cared about other people, and the fact that he never cared about anybody else has nothing to do with any mental health issues. He just doesn't give a flip about anybody. Is that not basically what it said? Just to, like, more nice and in technical terms.
I think he said there was 10 elements in order to prove this particular sort of antisocial sort of behaviour, and you only needed 3. Darrell pretty much ticked every single item.
Yeah.
But not to the extent where he was in a position not to be known or not to know what he was doing.
Right.
And pretty much his actions after the offence by obviously trying to evade the police, but changing his appearance, and everything else like that. He knew what he was doing. Basically, he was fully aware of his mind.
Yeah, for sure. So that was the mental health thing. And if anyone missed it, or I don't know if you saw the judgment or the whatever you call it, the sentence. But he got sentenced to 6 life terms consecutive, which means he has to serve one before he can start the next one. And then for the deaths, and then he got sentenced to another 700 and some years for the injuries.
Yep,
He's going to be like 830 something years old when he gets out.
Yeah. He's gonna have to make it to like age 1,000 to fulfill all this.
I'm usually optimistic, but I don't think he's gonna make it out.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
The glass is not half full here for him, so he's getting what he deserves, in my opinion, and I'm sure everyone else is.
Yeah,
but
well, there's some that, of course, out there that don't feel that way, but they're in the minority. So.
And we have does your Zoom thing, if we want to get our guest on at 9:00 exactly. I think my video is about 12 minutes. I did steal the song for, hopefully that came out okay, because it's an awesome song that he uses. I just want to make sure that we have time to get to him right at 9.
Yeah, for sure. So, Yeah, we'll finish our discussion in just a few minutes. But so the other reason that it was comical, okay, so there was a couple of reasons why I think people found this case entertaining, in my unexperted opinion. And so you guys can tell me if you agree. And one is just a lack of awareness of his beliefs. So, like, when he asked for subject matter jurisdiction, things of that nature, it was half comical for us because we don't understand why he was doing that. Second was his blatant misunderstanding of the law. Like, he would say grounds when the plaintiff is clearly, or the prosecution was clearly stating the grounds, but he would say, do stuff like that. What else do y'all think? Why do you think it was entertaining? Take, you have any idea? What?
Wacko, plain and simple. It was a wacko. And watching it was sickening to watch him make a mockery of the justice system, prolonging the sentencing, hiding behind a movement's beliefs. He was just an idiot of an individual, and I'm glad he's getting his 800 something years or whatever it is. That's my opinion. I'm not going to say I wasn't entertained. We were going back and forth in text and going, "Oh my God, did he just build a fort? Did he? So." That's just my opinion. It was the whole thing was entertaining in a sick, perverted, dark way. And I guess those that know me know that that's what I live for. But at the same time, you have to feel for the people. It's not a TV show. It's not a sitcom. They lost their children, their loved ones for nothing because some lunatic is just running people over. And then he's going to make a mockery of the whole justice system and not give respect to anyone, to himself even. So it's just a sick thing, and it has I wouldn't say a happy ending, but I'm glad to see that he's locked up for the rest of his life.
Hopefully, and he's still got
hopefully, in my opinion, it's just short life. But we won't go into that discussion.
He's got 2 other outstanding court appearances as well, so he's not going to go to a Supermax just yet.
Hopefully he doesn't defend himself in those cases, because he didn't do a good job this time.
But the way that the court conducted itself, your legal system is so fast. I mean, if that was here in the UK, it happened last year, we'd be talking about another 2 years before it even got to court. But the way the judge, whenever he started his temper tantrums, and moved him into the cell, into the courtroom next door, and so he could hear, but he couldn't disrupt. We've got a lot to learn from your justice system.
I guess. Like everything else here, like there's a lot of good things about stuff, and then there's a lot of things that need fixed.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. That's why we were talking about on my stream the other day, like, I'm hoping that there gets to be so much awareness that these organized scams are no more. You know what I mean? Like, there'll always be scammers. There will always be people that fraud other people. Always. There's always been, there always will be. But we're in a time right now where there's a lot of organized scamming. And I would love to see that end. And then everyone in chat was like, well, what will you do with your time? I'm like, we'll move on to the next problem because there's a lot of them, So that's what we'll do. If we can get scams ended, we'll start on the next problem and we'll stream about that one. So
the other thing that came out of the court case is the bailiffs. How big they were. I think someone described them as bigger than linebackers. CJ and Take, you're going to have to explain what a linebacker is to me, but they were huge. They were mountains, and they are now YouTube and Twitter stars.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't remember seeing any of them except for that blonde one that sat behind him a lot.
You don't have linebackers in cricket?
No.
We don't have time today to go into cricket.
And football.
Cricket is banned. Mr. Pokerface, who sat in the back. This is a bailiff, one of the court officials who was responsible for looking after Mr. Brooks, who made all sorts of allegations against them about having a shock, I think you call it, which is basically a device that if he were to try to escape or get violent, they can pass electricity to him.
That's a serious thing. My ex-girlfriend, you should try that on me. Mr. Pokerface in the back and the other bailiffs, they were giants. So they'll get some celebrity status because it's like that Jerry Springer show. Remember that security guard? What was his name? Steve. I don't know. He used to always break up the fights, and he was big, and then he ended up with his own show. It sounds like that's what it's kind of reminding me of. These bailiffs will end up with their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Chester, if you missed the message from Liz, Liz explained linebackers to you. She said they're just big men that go in and out, then they go in and out. Of football.
That's what she said.
Of football instead of cricket. So that's how they are.
That's a good thing. So, so the linebackers, are they in all the time, or are they out and then they come in until they're out?
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, got it. Right. Yeah. So you're going to have to teach me more of the rules.
I don't know. I'd say I'd have to refer that answer to your mom. Ask your mom.
Oh my God, he's not a scammer. We only say such things as scammers. Anyway, we got distracted, but if y'all missed that, that's an inside joke from last week on the show. You have to go back and watch all the old Morning Scam Show episodes to get all that. Okay?
Yeah.
Do that today.
And there's one or two that I could tell you to skip. But watch both of them.
Yeah. But anyway.
Is that a take break?
It's getting close. We want to make sure we give our adequate time to our amazing guest. And I need to let everybody know that I don't know if this video has all the raging and cursing. I might have just put that one on YouTube and not for the morning show. But there is one call where it was recorded on Bluetooth, so you might have to turn up the volume a little bit. I apologize for the sound, but I messed with the Microsoft scammers all day yesterday because after CJ and I have been talking with our scammer friend over there, that it's a serious thing. These Microsoft scammers are making $100,000 a day sometimes. Not the individuals that we talk to, but that's what's going into that one call center. And it's a sick thing. So when I get a Microsoft number, it's fair game, and I just keep going on and on and on. So I do apologize for some of the sound on this one.
Okay, so we're going to take our break, and then when we come back, we'll bring Dave up to talk to us more about sovereign citizenship. And you'll have to hear my disclaimer many times that Darrell Brooks' actions do not represent all sovereign citizens. His crime does not represent sovereign citizen ideals. He just brought it into the court, so we're going to understand it. And what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. So yeah, we'll take our break, and we'll be right back with Dave.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. My name is Mike. Can I help you?
Oh, you're breaking up. Can you hear me okay?
So do you see these saying transfers at the hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me? How can I help you, sir?
Oh, yeah, are you there? Kakaha?
There are transfers. I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Can you help me?
3 dots on the top right. I can hear you.
Is this Amazon?
Yes.
Is this Amazon?
You are talking to Amazon, sir. My name is Mike. How can I help you?
Okay, Mike, listen, there's a strange man, and he's been sitting on my porch for about an hour. Can you come scoop him up? He's wearing a lime green tube top and a Speedo. I don't need this guy on my front porch.
I'm going to go ahead and provide you with the
Can you help me?
The temporary details. Okay? Give me a moment. Bear with me. I can bill you, okay? I'm calling you right back. Just answer my call, okay?
Okay, yeah, and please stop that guy in the background from shouting, okay? He's shouting.
Yes, sir.
Stop shouting. Hello?
Yeah. Yes, this is... Can you hear me?
Oh, so much better. Thank you so much. Thank you. I can hear you.
Tell me, how can I help you?
Okay,
What
so
happened?
so I wake up this morning and there's a strange man and he's sitting on my porch drinking lemonade. He's wearing a lime green tube top and a Speedo. That guy's shouting in the background again, sir. Can we take care of that guy? Like, I don't know what that guy needs. A smack in the head? Maybe shoot him with a super soaker? He's so loud. Why is that guy so loud?
Misusing your account. So someone is at your door?
Someone's at my door. He's on the porch, actually, right now. He's just sitting there, lurking. I'm scared, sir. I need your help. And I really need you to shut that guy up in the background. He's way too loud.
I'm just waiting for an approval. I will help you. You're talking about my background or you're talking about your background?
There's a guy. I can hear everything he's saying. I can hear what he's doing in the background. I think he's on the phone with one of my friends, to be honest with you. He's not going to make any money today. None of you fuckers will. Go ahead, please.
Calm down. Can I have your name? What's your name?
Oh, mera naam Raj Patel hai. Aur aap? Tumhara asli naam kya hai? Uh-oh. Is that the end of the conversation, Gandu? I knew it would be. I'll call you back. Don't you worry.
Thank you for calling support. You are speaking with David. How may I help you?
David, is this Microsoft?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can you help me?
Yes, sir, I can help you. Can you tell me what was the problem?
Yeah, I called earlier. I don't know if this guy's a hacker or what he's doing. He's lurking around my property, and now he's like laying in a hammock at my front yard, and he wants lemonade, and he's wearing a Speedo and a straw hat and a lime green tube top. Can you help me remove him? Like, can I hook up to the secure server or something? He's a hacker.
Yes. But first, can you tell me what were you doing on the computer when you got this message?
Oh, I was looking at bad stuff actually on the computer, and I thought this guy was peeping into my window. I was looking at Desi porn. You know Desi porn? Those girls from India, and they do crazy stuff. And all of a sudden, a bunch of pop-ups came, and my computer froze. And then I look outside, and I got this old man, and he's lurking, and he's sitting in a hammock, and now he's requesting lemonade. Can you help me?
Yes, sir, I can help you. Before that, can you read out that message for me? What message you can see under the computer now?
Oh, I'm not going back in that room, sir. There's raccoons in my room. I got an old man on the front lawn, and I got raccoons in my bedroom. Can you just walk me through it, and I can do it from my phone or something? I'm in the living room where it's safe right now.
No, sir.
I'm curled up with a cat, bitch.
No.
No?
Let me tell you, sir, we are not able to... Yes. First, you have to go in front of the computer. All right?
Okay, but what about that old man on my front lawn? Who's going to take care of that guy?
Which old man, sir?
The old guy that I was telling you about. Are you listening to me there, Curry Breath? There's a guy, he's wearing a Speedo, he's laying in a hammock, and he told me to get him some lemonade. And then I came into my house to get the lemonade, and now that there's raccoons all over the place. They're in the computer room. I can't get to the computer now. This old man messed everything up.
Okay.
How do we handle the situation?
Okay.
You send a team of people over and maybe bring a sandwich and a Twix bar and some Diet Pepsi. Go ahead, please.
All right, I understand, sir, but...
I don't think you do.
Hello?
I don't think you understand, Bebekoof. Do you understand I'm fucking with you? I'm getting bored here. You're just too stupid. I feel bad.
So...
Like, you're a short rickshaw stupid. Get a fucking job.
Be smart, okay? Don't be smart with me, okay?
Like you, who's going to sit on the phone with a raging lunatic like me, talking about old men on the hammock and raccoons in the apartment, and all you can say is, are you in front of the computer? Do you want me to be smart like you, Bebekoof?
Don't say...
Get a fucking job.
Don't say this bullshit, okay?
Tumhara asli naam kya hai? Loser?
Terry Market Shoot.
Oh, your name's Terry? Aapse milka acha laga.
I'll call you back, bitch. It's what I do.
Thank you for reaching Amazon. This is Bruce. How can I help?
Is this Amazon, you fuck? What's going on over there? Is this Amazon?
Yes, sir. This is Amazon.
Okay, can you help me? I got a big problem going on over here, you fuck. Help me, please. Is this Amazon?
Yes, sir. But why are you abusing me?
Did you just say it's Amazon or no? I'm very confused. Is this Amazon?
Yes.
Okay, can you help me?
Is it Amazon?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's definitely Amazon, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, it's not like you're a scammer and you're pretending to be Amazon, right? You're not going to have me hook up to your secure server, right? Because scammers do that. You're not a scammer, right, you fuck? You really work for Amazon, you fuck. I don't think he works for Amazon.
Fuck off.
Oh, I will. I'm going to fuck off, and I'm going to fuck right back on. Anything else?
Thanks for calling customer support. This is Kevin Ford. How can I help you?
You ate the last Twix bar, didn't you, fucker? What are you doing? Get your own goddamn candy. What are you doing eating my Twix bars, fucker? I'm gonna call you all day now.
No problem. You can keep calling us. Keep calling us.
I will keep calling you. Stop eating my candy, Gandu. Get your own fucking candy. Don't you say goodbye?
Yeah. Let it be, bro. I just did it for 2 months, and I'm really ashamed of it. What would I say? I don't like to do this, but these are the worst 2 months I have in my life, you know.
What happened to you that was so bad? Can you talk about that, or no? It's private.
It's private, like it's some kind of family issue, so that's the reason I'm doing it.
Gotcha. Does your family know what you did for these 2 months?
Of course not. If they know this, they are just gonna kill me.
They'll kill you. They're
gonna kill me if they find out. Because if I say them that this money which I'm gonna give them is coming through scam, I don't think they would accept it.
Okay, that makes sense. You're gonna go work in marketing, right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna pay you the same or more than what you're getting as a scammer, or you're just gonna pay more or less?
But, you know, less. But it would be a life of respect, you know. I don't want to do scams, bro. I don't want to do scams my whole life.
Yeah, that's admirable. Do you think that there's other people that are like you, or the majority of the people just, it's all about money and they really just don't mind doing it? And they don't feel ashamed?
I think most of them are like just fuck it, and they are just continuing. Some of them are doing scams since last 4 or 5 years, I guess.
Yep.
And they're like, just fuck it. Who cares and stuff. But the very first day I dialed, bro, like on the very first day I was like each and every person, okay, some were very dumb, so it was like fun at the beginning, but then slowly like they started giving bad words, curses and stuff. Then, you know, that's a very big, what would I say, I'm getting some kind of depression because of it. Like while sleeping I just recall it every time.
Like, you mean you're getting depressed because you're getting yelled at all day long by people that are just pranking you and yelling at you?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think it would take a toll, right? I mean, and how many calls would you say you need to do before somebody, victim, I guess, I mean, and that you could make money from?
So at start, as I said, it started when it was like fun, like before 1 month. So every 3 or 4 calls, we would used to get a person.
Wow.
Who could, yes. And also there were some, you know, like old people who were like, you know, I have to pay some of the money to my rent and like that. So I used to just let them go and not inform my boss.
Your bosses must be very upset that you're leaving. I mean,
yeah, of course, bro. He just paid me. He just paid my salary now, and I asked him so that I can leave after 3 days. So I just got my salary today, and after 3 days, I'm free from this shit.
That's good. And the boss is okay with you leaving? Like, you know, they're not ever worried that you're going to talk about this, or no?
No, like I've said him about it, and of course he's not happy. He's like, you can work, you can earn more here and stuff. But you know, it's not respected, bro. This work is not respectable. You know, if anywhere I go, even if I earn like you know, $100,000 out of it, no one's gonna respect me if I say them where it's coming from.
You're connected with support. How can I help you?
You're picking up the phone pretending that you want to help people, but you really want to rob them.
I want you to understand, legally and federally, I know what type of a time waster you are.
You want people to empty their bank account.
Why would you waste my precious time?
We call scammers man, they say the dumbest stuff.
Go ahead, please.
Hey, then I'll call this number again, okay?
Hello, are you there, Dave?
Out to his song.
Yeah. Good morning, Dave. Are you there? Can you hear me? Hello, Dave. Can you hear me? I believe.
Hello.
I think he's on the line. Dave, are you there?
I got it.
I think I'm calling you the
what
right
up,
name,
Robbie?
right? I think I'm calling you the right name, right? I think in your email you said your name was Dave, correct? Or is there something?
My name is Dave.
Okay. Hi, Dave. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited to learn more from you. So nice of you to join us.
Great, glad to be here. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good morning as well from the UK.
Hey, good morning over there across the pond, as they say.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Across the swamp.
Yeah.
And good morning from New York. It's a pleasure to talk with you. I've been watching your stuff for a few weeks now, so I can't wait to talk with you.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I like you. Was that my intro you played just before? I was still getting. I've never used
I found
any.
your song. I got addicted to it a couple weeks ago when I started to binge watch your streams and catch up on who you are, and I started to fall in love with that song. So I did some research, and it led me. I looked in your description, I found it, and then all of a sudden this morning I said that would be a great idea if we played a little bit of his song before he comes on. So I kind of made a video real quick and sent it to CJ. So we played a little bit of your song, but a great choice of song. I mean, I'm a fan now of those guys.
You can get it's a band called Nefix, Neffix, I believe. And if you go on to YouTube and there's a thing there, it says royalty free music or music for creators. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and you won't get a bunch of strikes and copyright and all that other crap if you use it. And they've got all different kinds of genres. So yeah, check it out. Especially that band right there, or individual. I don't know if it's one guy that does that, kind of like Alan Parsons, or I don't know how you do it, but I like their music. So
yeah, I actually have some of their songs on my playlist. I like their music a lot.
I didn't know about them, and it just fits with your intros when you have like the screenshots of some of the beliefs and things before you get going into your streams. And it's like your content over the last couple of years, obviously, now you have this amazing intro, and in the early days it looked like you were just on there, how to roll a rabbit joint. And now you have some serious talks going, and I thought the song was very well done. Awesome song.
Well, see, I started the channel out originally. I just was playing around. This was 5-6 years ago out in California. And I never really intended to do anything with it. I started to, and then I did a video delving into certain Italian restaurants and their connection to nefarious activities that was taking place a few years ago, and they struck that one right down. You just couldn't talk about that crap. So I was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this censorship crap at all. So years went by. I was here, and I had been studying into stuff regarding the Constitution and the sovereign movement and that kind of thing. And I ran across the guy on YouTube who was discussing the Supreme Court. So I turned him on, and I'm just listening to him in the background, and I kept little red flags going up in my head going, wait a second, that's not right. You got that case completely wrong, you know, and I just, but giving the benefit of the doubt. Then it came to a point where I saw this guy turn into a total train wreck, and he got himself arrested for a simple trespassing charge. And I actually reached out to him and tried to help him. I tried to tell him, I said, look, if you go into the courtroom and you start yammering and yammering on about your constitutional rights, they don't want to listen. They're not going to listen to you. They don't care. You're not in a constitutional court. You are in a commercial court. So here's what you need to do first. He didn't listen, of course. And I thought, okay, well, given after watching this guy, he wants to be the big duck in the puddle. Let's see what he does. So he ended up going online live the night before his court and talked just major shit about the judge who was going to preside over his case. And I thought, well, that's real bright. And then he didn't show up.
I'm no genius, but that doesn't sound too bright.
I sent him a simple text that said, you know, dude, you pussed out, you look like a fraud. The next thing I know, I get a torrent of threats of forced sodomy along with pornographic pictures and all kinds of stuff in my text. I'm like, holy cow, people need to know what this constitutional law scholar is actually all about. So I made a short video, and it kind of blew up. And I said, you know what, this is kind of fun. So now I'm sitting here, I got a dual screen system and everything over here, and I've gotten to be able to reach out and kind of use that as a segue into some of the issues like you saw in my intro. You know, there's a lot of things that I don't need people to agree with me. Just listen. And while you're listening, actually listen. Don't be scrambling for reasons of why what I'm saying is wrong or why what you say is right. Just listen to what I have to say. And you don't have to believe. I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's
just
what I'll definitely do. Yeah.
Have that open mind. If a mind and a parachute work the same way. They are only any good if they're open. You see, and that's why when I was seeing with this Darrell Brooks, I saw a lot of people discussing the Darrell Brooks thing, and I looked at it and I said, "This is a circus. This is a distraction. This is also an attempt to try to make, because it is growing, the idea of the sovereign movement to look even more ridiculous to the rest of the slaves. You see, you put it in that light, and people say, "Oh, look at there, what a goofball." And I agree. I agree 100%. See, what people don't understand is that there is no such thing as a sovereign citizen. You are either sovereign or you are a citizen. You cannot be both. And when people try to straddle the fence, that's when they get the post up their butt. Now, in Darrell Brooks's case, it doesn't matter whether you're sovereign or a citizen. It doesn't matter. You caused loss, injury, and harm.
Right.
And that's no good, and that's no bueno. Not in anybody's.
Right.
Goes with, see, in the sovereign idea, it's really quite amazing because the ideals are that of natural law. And natural law is what our 10 amendments, what our Bill of Rights was based off of. That's basically an exemplification of of your own natural rights. In fact, it preambles that by saying these rights are endowed by your creator. Well, George Washington and Jefferson were not my creators, nor is the government today my creator. So what does it mean to be sovereign? Well, it means to self-rule. It doesn't mean no rules. It just means no rulers. You are your own ruler. Now, in order to be your own ruler, you have to exemplify the qualities of which you would place in a good ruler. That would be benevolence, to not be prejudiced, to be wise, to be benevolent, all the characteristics you would want to see in a great leader. You must become yourself. So what stops you from driving maniacal speeds through a parade? Well, you do. You stop yourself from doing that. Why? Because it's wrong. You have to. Doesn't mean you just get to make up your own rules. You see, a right is any action that you perform that does not cause loss, injury, or harm. That's basically the definition, because it's what? It's right and not wrong. Mm-hmm. That's where that comes from. But a lot of people try to take this into, oh, this is how I can get away with doing this or get away with doing that. No, it's not about getting away with anything. It's about getting away from a slave system. That's all. And in Darrell Brooks's case, I'm sorry, you killed a bunch of people and injured a bunch of people, and justice has to be served, whether it be through a judiciary or whether somebody just pulled him out of the truck and capped him there on the spot. Justice has to be served. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So does it tick you off, like when you see like a Timothy McVeigh or the other guy that was with him that claimed to be sovereign, and like a Darrell Brooks, and there's been some others throughout history that, like what you said, trying to get away with stuff? I mean, does that piss off like you, or like I would say the true sovereign who just wants people to question everything and know that there could be another way of thinking, but people have been trained to think a certain way, and that's kind of what you're getting at, as far as I can tell. But does it make you angry that people kind of hide behind your movement and your thinking?
Oh, yeah, it actually does. And that's one of the things the guy was just talking about, this delete laws, Chile de Castro. That's one of the things that pisses me off about him, is the fact that he's actually coming in and making legitimate movements look bad. We got enough of that as it is. We don't need you, you know?
Yeah.
He tried to gravitate over to the voluntarist forum, and he's completely ill-suited to it because he's a statist. And he didn't even know what a statist is. He took it as an ad hominem. It's not. It's not an ad hominem. It's someone who relies on the state. That's all. Someone who wants the state to take care of things and control things. That's all. And there are those people that feel safer that way. But I'm of a ilk that I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful, safe slavery myself. I mean,
so you don't, do you utilize like the 911 system? If you had an emergency, would you call 911, or do you feel like that's using the government resources?
Personally, no, I would never call 911. I have dogs. I don't want them to get shot. I really don't see a need for me to call another man to solve a problem that I can solve myself.
Or what if you're having a heart attack?
Oh, yeah, listen, let me tell you about what we've got here where I'm at. If I were to have a heart attack and someone were to call emergency services, I've donated to that. We have volunteer. We don't have state paid agencies where I live at. It's all volunteer and one of the top notch rescue. And every so often I get an envelope in the mail that says, hey, can you please donate? And I'm like, shit, yeah, that's a service worth having. I'm not forced to pay into it, but I feel that it's a service worth having. So I go ahead and I donate to it. But, you know, it doesn't require necessarily, there's an actual example where it doesn't require a government agency in order to take care of these things. I often hear, well, who will build the roads? Well, there were roads long before that. Long before government, there were roads. In California, in eastern central California, there was a thing called the Inyo Good Roads Club. And this was before the federalization or the state was taking care of any roads. And what it was basically merchants along the 395 corridor got together and had a coalition that they were going to keep and maintain the roads because it was good for their commerce. So it was in their interest to do such a thing. People will come together and people will take care of things within their society. What happens when you have a surrogate parent, then everybody gets into this idea of, oh, that's not my job. The government will take care of that. Government will take care of this. Government give me money for this and get free stuff from the government. And people don't realize that anything you get from the government was stolen from someone else. They don't have any tangible wealth of their own to be giving you. So all of this redistribution of wealth, that's just it's a scam is what it is, because they're grifting off the top. Whereas if that money is done in the private sector, we see a much more efficient use of those funds.
Would it be fair to say then that you don't want any government and you want people to just do what's right?
Yeah, that's what I would shoot for. And of course, it takes a mindset. It takes a mindset, because I could ask everyone right here on the panel, are there any of you here right now, and even in the chat, that would, without the threat of violence or a barrel of a gun to the head, or the threat of incarceration, would you, in other words, if nobody had written down any laws, would that automatically make any of you want to go out and start robbing or killing or raping or causing arson or anything like that? If it was not against the law, would any of you do that, like the purge or whatever? I don't believe so.
No. But there would be some that would maybe do it more. Maybe.
I was expecting that to come right next, because that's what everybody says. That's what everybody says. Okay. It's not me. It's everybody else. But you see, I just asked everybody else.
Right.
I just asked everybody else, and they're on board too. So the thing is and yes, there are those, and I've run across them. I had a guy, he said, if there wasn't no law, I would totally steal shit. And I said, and I would totally shoot you for it. And he said, you would shoot me for stealing your wallet? And I said, absolutely. And he said, do you think your wallet is worth a person's life? I said, that's not a question for me. That's a question for you. You're the one stealing the wallet. Is your life worth my wallet? You see, that's the type of, this is the whole thing. So you run across, like I said, you have a few, but they're very few of those few in all reality.
Yeah. I think that's a dangerous situation, and only because I really feel like, and it probably goes into a lot of your talks. People are sheep a lot of the times, and we see it all the time in our community where, they don't like you because somebody says don't like that person, and they don't really get to know you first. And I would be afraid that if there was no law and somebody did something bad to somebody, there would not be people that would stand up. They would look the other way and say, well, it's not happening to me. That's not my wallet they're stealing. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Or do you really feel like eventually there'll be enough people that will awaken and do the right thing, law or not? They'll just stand up for what's right. Is that like your goal in all this?
I can only hope. We do see people stand up for what's right a lot. It doesn't get a lot of coverage. It doesn't get a lot of attention.
Right.
When somebody stops,
if I saw somebody stealing your wallet, I would stand up for you because it's not right. I don't know, right. And I'm not saying I'm better or different than anyone else, but I don't think that there's that many people that would risk their life to do something to stop somebody else from getting harmed. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people that say, oh, it's not happening to me. I'm just going to look the other way. Thank God it's not me. But what you're saying is, in your utopia with no government, everyone would do the right thing and look out for each other, and we don't need laws to tell us that stealing and raping and robbing is wrong.
Well, see, first off, the misconception of a utopia, you're never going to achieve utopia. I don't care what you do. And you're certainly not going to achieve utopia through any of these isms. We've tried that for thousands of years, and it doesn't work. Every form of government ends in rebellion and tyranny. Every time. And every currency always fails. So these are just facts. These are facts. You're never going to have a utopia. However, the idea that, oh, that's not my job, there it goes. Like you said, I'm glad it wasn't me. That's a job for the police. This does cause people to not do anything. I mean, and it is actually, I'm afraid, getting worse. You can have someone choking on the floor of a restaurant, and instead of anybody doing anything, they're just running around like a bunch of cockatoos going, call 911, call 911, and filming it. You see, whereas probably 30 years ago, you would have been more apt for someone to actually jump in and help.
Well, it's funny you say that though, because 2 years ago I actually did witness someone choking in a restaurant, and people did the Heimlich on them. So, and like they saved them in the middle of the restaurant. So it's really funny you say that, just because I actually witnessed that happening. But I totally understand what you mean. So, do you feel understand the point that you're making, I think, though. So you basically you organized your own group, right, to help each other. So instead of, you don't really view the government as the official group that's done that for you. You just feel like individuals should organize their own group of assistance. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I do think there's a lot more strength in community than there is in government. Much more. It's, for instance, in the neighborhood where I live at right now, there's a lot of elderly people that live on my street, a lot of retired people. And this would be a ripe area for someone to just go crazy if they were of that ilk. However, the problem is that the community watches out for each other. I mean, if I see somebody over at Mrs. Jones's house screwing around on her porch and shit, I'm going to keep my eye on him. You know, and if he's there for a little bit longer, I might even either walk over or call Mrs. Jones and say, hey, who's this bird on your porch? I was just a little bit worried. Everything okay? That kind of a thing. Everyone around here is armed. We don't just go around playing with guns, except on the weekends. But no, I mean, it's I mean, people just take care of each other around here. Yes. Do we have crime? We do. We do. In fact, I had a police officer shot just 2 doors up from me, which was a complete shock to the community. Absolute shock. But it was just one of those things, a random thing that occurred, and everybody was pretty much in shock. So you're never going to have a utopia. You can't. Because but what it is we have to have strong men. You see, strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Bad times then again create strong men. And in our society right now, we have, over the last, I would say, 30 years, completely demasculated the American male. And we use Marxist buzzwords that the sheep just love to adopt, the Marxist buzzwords. They hear it a few times on the news, and then they're off to the races with it. Toxic masculinity, toxic masculinity, you know, and this is where we're at. You can see the programming, and this is all done through Tavistock. You can see the programming on your regularly scheduled television programming time. They call it that for a reason. If you've noticed that over the course of the last couple of decades, a lot of the general theme is that of a very strong and dominant woman in the home, where the husband is pretty much just a doofus and he gets into trouble, and the woman is the one who gets him out of the trouble. We see this over and over and over, and it's gotten worse and worse. And of course, it isn't that art imitates life. Life will imitate art. The monkeys will do whatever they see on TV, and they start behaving in that method, in that manner. And it has been an actual program of demasculating the American male worldwide, pretty much.
So do you believe any of the news that you see, or do you think it's all initiated by the government?
I believe the basic outline of it, and of course I do my own research into it to find out, you know, what exactly is it. I look at news programs more like not telling me what is actually happening. It's more telling me what to think about what's happening, or what I'm perceiving to be happening. You see, for instance, during the last couple of years, you know, I was watching, Yeah, and I don't watch TV. I pull up video and stuff like that on my television. I have a smart TV, and I pick up some news clips off of from various news programs off of YouTube and other places like that, and I watch them, and I find myself dissecting them, going, okay, what are we going here? Where's the bias? What are they trying to make me believe? And most importantly, like with the Darrell Brooks case, not only what are they programming me with by covering this so heavily, what are they distracting me from? What is occurring right now that they don't want me to see by inundating my attention with this? You see, that's how I look at the news. The news, I know for a fact, is nothing more than a propaganda wing of any given government, whether it be the BBC or Fox News. Over here, we've got a cheerleader team for the left and a cheerleader team for the right, and nobody is really wise enough to realize that it's two wings of the same bird. They just keep going after it. And it is this has been proven with the Church Commission hearings in the 70s regarding embedding of CIA agents into American newsrooms and television stations in order to steer the narrative and place propaganda stories within the news. It was already admitted. It's called Operation Mockingbird. And we see it all the time. I'm sure many of you have seen the clips where they play the simultaneously several different local news stations from around the country saying the exact same scripted line regarding a certain story. So under the illusion of getting variety, you don't really have any variety. It's all a big illusion. If you go to the grocery store, you see all these brands of different foods and things like that. And you go, oh, look at me, I'm an American. I have all these choices. If you were to label everything in that grocery store by their parent company, there would only be like 3 things.
Mm-hmm. Chester, sorry, are you still here? I think you tried to say something and I cut you off because you're kind of quiet still. So sorry about that. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Dave, just a quick question. Going back to Darrell, do you think, knowing your belief system, do you think Darrell chose that as just as a means of defense of trying to sort of get out of these actions, or do you believe that he believes he's a sovereign citizen?
No, I don't believe he believes it at all. I think he's gotten enough information to get himself into trouble. Not wise enough to realize that it doesn't matter whether you're a sovereign or a citizen. You killed people.
Right.
People saw you kill people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are or what your status is that you claim. You have caused loss, injury, or harm, and not only broken the written legislation of man, but you've broken the law.
Right.
See, a lot of people don't understand the law and legislation are not the same. Lawful and legal are 2 completely different things. Law is immutable. It's already set. It's natural. Mm-hmm. Legislation is what man puts. Man cannot write law. So just as a good example, in 1860, it was perfectly legal for me to own another human being and demand servitude from them. Mm-hmm. However, it was not lawful, because it goes against natural law. It goes against God's law. So, and I mean that by creator's law, natural law, not under a religious aspect. I'm not talking.
So that's what he meant when he said lawful law, because he said that a lot during the case. Like, is that lawful law? And I didn't know what he meant by that.
Yeah, that's a big kicker right there. And that, like I said, with the slavery, that's a great example of the difference between lawful and legal. In fact, sometimes lawful things have been made illegal. Using the same example, it was completely illegal for me to try to free one of those people from servitude. However, that was a completely lawful act.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Right. Oh, okay. So what about land? Like, obviously, you didn't discover your land. So how do you justify like the right to live there? If you understand what I'm asking.
Yeah. Oh, I understand what you're saying. How can I justify the ownership of land? I really can't. No one can. How do you own land? Who gets it after? I mean, what happens when you die? You no longer own it.
But you occupy land, even like disregarding ownership, like you're occupying land. You know what I mean? So, like, obviously someone at some point discovered that land and claimed it. That wasn't you. You transported there, were born there, right? So, I don't mean this disrespectfully. I just don't know how else to phrase it. Like, what gives you the right to live on that land, if you don't want to recognize the government, if that makes any sense. I don't know how else to word it. I don't mean that sassy. I just don't know how to word it. Like, how do you...
That would be voluntary contract. That's voluntary contract. An agreement. In other words, I agree and everyone else agrees that this is my little space and that I have the dominion over this little private area. Outside of that, I don't.
But who agrees to it, though? Who are you agreeing it with?
In this case, I guess it would have to be the government agencies. But prior to that, it would be an agreement with the people around me. Basically, it's just a mutual agreement. I don't know why the government would have to be involved in that type of thing at all. I mean, for instance, if some guy wanted to parcel off a bit of his land and say, "Hey, Dave, if you give me a certain amount of Federal Reserve notes, I'm going to go ahead and let you live on this land. Here's a contract. The only two people that need to be involved here is you and I. Here we are. It's mutual agreement." There it is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I totally get it. And then you can understand like what I'm trying to say is like, or what I'm thinking in my mind, and I want your opinion on it. I'm not arguing. I just want your opinion or your views. Is like, okay, so you agree that like you're basically in contract with the government to live there. Why is it that you then don't have to subscribe to their other like rules? Because that, you know what I mean? That's part of the land that the world has given to the United States as an entity, right? And you're occupying that space.
Right.
So, it would be like, if you come to my house, you have to do, like I have some basic rules. Like one, you have to use, like if you have to use the bathroom, if you have to like defecate, you have to do it in the bathroom. That's a basic rule I have if you enter my home. So, you're entering their space that the world recognizes as their space. So that's what my question is like, why do you not have to abide by the rest of their requirements to occupy their space? If that makes any sense.
You do have to abide by, because there again, it's mutual voluntary contract between one or more people. Right. In the other scenario where you're talking about, that I got you have the land. Well, where did they get it in order to give it to me? You see, so it goes all the way back almost to almost a chicken egg type scenario right there. Which came first? It's like, who gave them the right to have the land in the very first place? This, I believe, is one of the biggest arguments they had with the natives when the Europeans first started colonizing. They didn't understand, how can you own the earth? How can you own a piece of the earth? It didn't make any sense to them. And from their mindset, I can understand it. But as far as that's mutual decency. It goes along this whole line right here. Would you want someone to come into your house and crap on the floor? No. Right. So therefore, I go ahead and I do that. Do I drive an appropriate speed down the road because somebody put a sign up on the side of the road? No, I don't. I look at that sign like, okay, engineers studied this road and decided that this was probably the best speed to travel this road on. And I have enough respect for the people in this area that I'm going to go ahead and abide by that. Not because I'll get a ticket, but because it's the right thing to do. It's
okay. I get you.
It's golden. It's golden rule. It's golden rule 101.
I see a lot of the sovereign, and for lack of better, I actually was going to ask you that question. So I totally agree that sovereign and citizens are they're contrary to each other, those two words. So I totally agree. But for lack of what else to call them, I've just watched some other sovereign citizens ones where they do go 70 miles per hour down to 35. They get pulled over, and then they want to tell. Then their argument is, "You have no right to tell me how fast to go." Do you see what I mean?
Right. I absolutely see that all the time. And the thing is, what I'm looking at right there is okay. You can have this belief system, but when it comes right down to it, those very police that are pulling you over are just the same sheep. And I'm not using that derogatorily. What I mean by that is just people that are programmed into the status quo. And those people, even though they're wearing a uniform and they had a month of training or whatever else, they're still of that same mindset. And you're not going to convince them at the side of the road. I often say you can beat the rap, but you're not going to beat the ride. So don't poke the freaking bear. You keep your head down, And that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, you can go. I have every right to go as fast as I want to. But I also have to keep in mind that this uninformed police officer who is not aware of natural law is going to just do what he's been trained to do. And that's all there is to it. You're just going to have to deal with that. And I don't agree with people doing that and trying to bait them. I find it more productive to actually have a conversation with them, which I've seen. There's another creator out there, Paul Enslaved, that he is actually, he's out there doing it. And he's been pulled over and had his car towed and ended up going to court and ended up winning and getting his car back. And it's a big freaking hassle. I don't want to go through that hassle.
Right.
I have a belief system and I practice it as much as I possibly can within the limits of not getting my ass beat and thrown in a cage. Because whether you're right or wrong, that'll happen.
Right. And I'm sure you understand that, so you and Darrell Brooks, from a public standpoint, might be associated with each other because of some similar declarations, right? So when you make a declaration about all police officers, you can understand how many of us find that offensive because it sounds very unfair because there's millions of police officers or thousands. So when you say they're all untrained and uneducated, you can understand why that might sound offensive.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it for it to be that way. I didn't mean for it. What I meant for it is that they've been told the same crap as all the rest of the people. And of course, discouraged away from any ideas like this. This was one of the points of the Darrell Brook case being broadcast so heavily. This has been a worry of government forever, and especially here in the United States, even since the 60s. I could show you remember when it was only 3 channels and they would sign off at the end of the night, and then for some reason we'd have a patriotic moment and hear the national anthem, right? You're going to watch. They didn't sing it.
4 a.m. I remember those days.
Yeah.
Okay, well, take that and slow it down because they didn't sing it. They just played the music, showed images of America, and had the words down at the bottom of the screen come up. If you slow that down a whole bunch and watch within the transition of the verses, you get all kinds of really cool phrases like trust government, rebellion will not be tolerated, pay your taxes, obey, consume. These are little subliminal messages that were occurring in the 60s. Now with high definition TV, it's even worse. So they've been blasting us with this rhetoric, even on a subconscious level for decades. And something is happening now where there is actually a shift in vibration. The veil is falling. The veil is being lifted. And more people are discovering the truth of things. And this worries the hell out of the control system. Absolutely, because without us, they don't exist. Right. Government, that great fiction by which the few seek to live at the expense of the many.
Do you believe that the government implants subliminal messages in almost everything we do? And I'm not talking about like when you go into a grocery store and they're playing a song and maybe your subconscious mind is hearing things about buying a certain brand because that brand paid the company a lot more money than the other brand. Because I come from a sales environment, and I know that's definitely a tool that we use in the business world to sell more of a product. But I'm talking about like when you're driving in your car or you're just walking in the street and you hear a sound. I mean, how deep do you think it goes? Do you think the government is implanting subliminal messages like in everything we do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you recall back, it was a few years back when we switched over to the digital signal from the analog. Despite the fact that we are trillions of dollars in debt, all kinds of economic problems, somehow the government found it necessary to push to the top of their agenda the quality of your television viewing.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. There we go. Sorry to interrupt him. The Zoom time is running out, but I sent you the next meeting so we can keep going. Sorry about that. There's like a time limit on Zoom, and I don't have the paid service. So I sent him the second link. Sorry about that. So we'll just give him a minute to click to get there.
Oh, my bad. I thought we had an hour each time.
No, we only have like 40 minutes, but I sent him the link I made another one. Yeah, I sent you another link, Sovereign. Hold on. Sent you a second link. So sorry about that. Again, it's just I have a lot of things to pay for right now, and Zoom is not one I can add to my repertoire at the minute.
Chester said he's got it. Chester's got it.
Chester, you there? You want to pay for my Zoom?
Fascinating conversation. Yeah. I mean, I was always brought up and told that society needs to follow norms and rules, and it's there for protection of all, whether you agree or disagree. But yeah, I'm just wondering if Dave is still there, what would happen if he came over and visited another country?
Oh, that's a good question. We'll ask him when he comes back, hopefully. We'll give him a second to join. I should have just set up 2 in a row, so it's my fault. Sorry that he got disconnected. And it was totally just, we ran out of Zoom time. I didn't purposely cut him off. So hopefully he'll join us, the second one, in just a second. So sorry. There he is. I'm so sorry about that, Dave. I should have set up 2 Zooms in a row because I should have known we would go long, and I didn't think about it.
I'm back. I made it.
Yeah, sorry about that. The Zoom just ran out. I didn't cut you off or anything. I really apologize. I should have made 2 Zooms in a row so we wouldn't have any interruption. But go ahead with what you were saying. Sorry.
Where was I?
You were talking about, I think Take had asked about the indoctrination kind of people.
Yeah.
Subliminal messages. I'm just curious.
Subliminal, right. Okay, so years ago, so if you look at we went to the digital signal, and even though not everybody had digital receivers at the time, they found it within the budget to be able to give people free boxes so that they could get the digital signal. What people need to know is that when you're using an HDMI cable and you're using these high resolution televisions, ultra 4K, and this ultra audio, that just what you're seeing and hearing coming through the television is like a trickle of the amount of data that is able to be passed through that HDMI cable, both ways. Make no mistake, they can watch you through your television. This is not a conspiracy theory. I've seen it done. They listen to you. Just recently, I did a video where a lot of my listeners didn't know I played guitar, and I actually played guitar and did a recording. And the next thing I know, I'm getting blasted with ads for new guitars and amplifiers and all this other. A couple of years ago, I just mentioned to my wife, I said, I've been looking for a full-length duster, one of those oilcloth dusters. And she goes, yeah, that would be cool. Next thing I know, I'm getting hit with ads for oilskin dusters.
That makes you wonder, yeah.
There ain't no wonder about it. If they hear a dog barking in the background, they will send you ads about dog food and dog treats and Chewy and all that other stuff. This is so. Yes, they are putting sublims in there. In fact, they've been doing it, like I just pointed out, as far back as the sign off during the in the 60s and 70s, and now with the digital signal, my God, what they could be putting through. I've also noticed that since that happened, we've got a higher incidence of animosity and threats of violence and shit against each other over differences of opinion and political opinion. I mean, I can remember always there being arguments on the political spectrum, but never to a point like this. And I think it's got a lot to do with that. The subconscious absorbs everything like a sponge. And then when you go to bed at night, when you go to sleep, that's when it does its work. It believes everything.
TAGOW media scam pranks. So, that's a little different though. Like, so what you're saying is with that cable, it's almost like people are listening in. It's not like I was wondering about subliminal messages in a different way, I guess. But what you're saying is if you use certain cables and you just make a conversation to your wife, all of a sudden you're getting ads. I mean, wouldn't that not be
even your
subliminal?
phone, even just your phone,
people
your
watching
phone,
you?
your tablet, all of it. But that's in addition. That's in addition to subliminals. There's a lot of stuff going on there, visually, audibly. And of course, there with the listening and the sending. They've been doing this for decades. They do it in movies all the time. And of course, it works. It works. I knew a guy years ago when I lived in Michigan that he worked for a company that did subliminal messaging. And they made like the music for grocery stores and little messages in there. Buy more, don't steal, things like that. The tapes you buy to help you quit smoking. These are all designed to read into the subconscious. The music industry's been doing it for years and years and years. So yeah, this is not a new technology, and people need to be made aware that it. Be very careful because you are being subjected to this 24/7. And if you're not aware, it will get you.
Sorry, I have to agree with you. I have this YouTube channel, the Morning Scam Show, which comes up every Tuesday and Thursday, and it makes me want to tune back in. So the subliminal message...
that just might be the whole...
I don't think that's subliminal. I think that's CJ Scams, like, harassing you.
Yeah, it's all CJ's fault. So, just I've done a lot of research. When you Google, like, what does a sovereign person believe? Usually, and again, it goes back to everything that you talk about. Like, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Don't believe everything you see on TV, of course. Question everything. So, am I wrong to think that most sovereign people that kind of believe what you are saying you believe in, you fall subscriber to that in around... I don't know what it said in the 1800s when things were changed. We kind of sold ourselves into a contract, like birth certificates are really just contracts, and the government is selling us as entities to other nations and making money from us.
Yes.
Do I have that right?
Yes. All of the above. There was an event that took place, changing the Constitution in 1870, but the very huge pivotal point that took place, you see, in 1913, against the Logan Act, high-level bankers, the people we call the robber barons, John Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, there was a host of them. They went under assumed names and met with a Senator Aldrich off the coast of Georgia at a place called Jekyll Island. And they drafted up what was known as the Banking and Commerce Act, also known as the Federal Reserve Act. This was placed on the floor of the Congress on Christmas Eve, 1913. They only needed a quorum at that time to pass this. And this gave a central bank control to a group of private banker individuals. And so the United States itself was no longer coining its own money. Woodrow Wilson put that right into, he signed it into law. The next thing you know, the next year, 1914, the event known as World War I kicked off. And Archduke Ferdinand, who was assassinated in Sarajevo, is what kicked it off. Although it's so murky, you try to find out what exactly was the war over. You get differing opinions. But I have to say it was a planned event, because here's an interesting thing. The license plate number of the car that Archduke Ferdinand was driving in, the number on it was 111118. Actually, it was A111118. The armistice was on 111118. So I'm not a big believer in coincidence. But after that occurred, then the United States, with this blank credit card, open-ended now, can borrow just about whatever it needs to from this central bank. We went full head-on into World War I. Well, this, of course, put us into debt. By 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared the United States bankrupt. In that same year, that bankruptcy was handled in Brussels. They had to have collateral. So the United States, being a corporation, started issuing birth certificates in 1933. My father was the very first person. They weren't required prior to that. You could have one, but they were not required. After 1933, they were required. This is actually a bond. This was you are collateral for the debt. Mm-hmm. And they get you to do that. They worked it through by declaring yourself as a United States citizen. Well, in reality, a United States citizen, the United States being a corporation, is only Washington, D.C. and its territories, the federal territories. I don't live in any of those places. Therefore, I'm a national and not a citizen. I don't declare myself as a citizen. By declaring yourself as a citizen, that ties you to your bond, that ties you to your birth certificate, your straw man. And yes, it is traded on the market every day. In fact, my son was on one night and we pulled up, there's a website, I have it bookmarked someplace, where you can actually type in your social security number and it will show you every company that owns a piece of you. Every single one of them. You are traded. But that's not you. This is why your name appears in all capital letters. I've heard the lame excuse, people saying, oh, that's so that you can see it better. Well, if that were the case, they'd make the entire document in capital letters. And there was also a study by DOT that was done just recently where they're going through and changing all of the street signs to be a combination of upper and lower case letters because it's easier to read. So that kind of dispelled that whole thing. So what a lot of people don't understand is when you are charged with something like a traffic ticket or whatnot, that is actually a charge against your straw man. And it can be discharged simply with your birth certificate. There's a little bit of a process to it, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to first what had happened was they waited until I think it was 1938 and a Supreme Court case came through that they were able to actually adjudicate it under the new Uniform Commercial Code. It was placed over the Constitution, kind of like a transparent overlay. This is why everything is Virginia Revised Code, Ohio Revised Code, It's under Uniform Commercial Code. If you reserve yourself under your natural rights using UCC, then you can be under common law. But until then, you are under commercial law. It's complex. But yes, this was you do have a straw man. There is a trust in your name. Your social security number is a part of the routing number to that account. So yeah, these are things, and people go, "Oh no, that's just and they go to another buzzword created by the government, conspiracy theory. And they've made this to be synonymous
that also pops up, and I'm sure you know that, obviously. But when I'm trying to do research on something I don't know, and I type in sovereign citizen, although I'll use that term loosely now. Thank you. I got educated a little bit. But when you type that in, what do sovereign citizens believe? Not only do you get the timeline and some truth to it, obviously everything you just said, I saw. But you do see things that say conspiracy theories.
Yes.
I mean, and again, to me, that falls into, let me first do the research and not believe everything that's been fed to me. But at the same time, I have to look at it like, you can't think every major news story is a conspiracy, right? Like if we talked about whether the Earth is flat, whether we talked about space or 9/11 or the Holocaust or any of these major topics that usually conspiracy theories talk about, I mean, you have to think some of them are correct. No, and everything can't be conspiracy.
No, not everything is a conspiracy. But there's the thing. There's that term. What is a conspiracy? What is a conspiracy? Is it possible and likely that people in prominent high-powered positions might meet in collusion to formulate a nefarious plan? Absolutely. All the time. I just told you about one, and it happened at Jekyll Island, and it's put us in the economic mess that we're in now. People think they have money. They don't have money. They have currency. They have Federal Reserve notes. They're worth no more than the paper they're printed on. There's nothing backing it. And people don't understand that. So what they do to shut people down is use that very term right there, conspiracy theory. Okay. So where did this word even come from? Where did this phrase come from? It was born out of the Kennedy assassination, because there were a lot of people that weren't really buying the official narrative of a lone gunman shooting Kennedy from a warehouse. And so there were people that were formulating the idea that there was a conspiracy by high-level individuals to have John Kennedy assassinated. All right. So what did they do? They said, we can't have that going on. We've got all these people with theories of a conspiracy. What do? So what the government did was put out their own conspiracy theorists who went out there and purposely looked wacky, purposely looked out of their mind, and they gave them a lot of publicity. So then anybody that had a conspiracy theory was most likely a whack job, you see? And this dispelled people from using any critical thinking. Nobody wants to be labeled a conspiracy theorist. That means rubber room. That means straitjacket, right? No, it doesn't. What it means is critical thinker. But people have been given this buzzword, and they use it over and over and over until finally it's completely out of context, to where if somebody says anything that might be a little like, whoa, that's crazy. Oh, conspiracy theory. No, wait a second. Where's even the conspiracy? We're just making a fact. So you have to be real careful with that. Secondly, stay the hell off Google. You're never going to get anything off of Google. You got to look through some other search engines. Google lies. You can put in a search criteria, and it'll tell you that there's some vast number of millions of searches done within a half of a second, and they got all these results. Go ahead and try to go to the last page of those results. You won't find it. You'll maybe at most get 14 pages, and the last couple repeat themselves. There are not any millions of results. and they don't show them. But people will take it for granted because they're used to just glossing over a headline or the header of something and saying, "Hey, that's it. That's what it is right there." They don't actually delve into it and look. They just take it for granted. There's a lot of intellectual laziness taking place because there's a lot of this thinking of, there's smarter people than me have already figured that out. I run into that in the flat earth community all the time. People say, well, Einstein. Yeah, go ahead. Work his formula out for me one time. They don't know. They just rely on it. I tell them Einstein was a fraud, and they're like, what are you talking about? I said, try to find some footage of him talking without reading. He reads everything that he ever said.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a small debate on one of your streams. You had somebody on your panel. It was a very respectful discussion, and I don't know if you were in our chat early on, but I was saying I couldn't wait to talk with you because you let this guy talk, and obviously he didn't agree with what you were saying, but you guys had a pretty in deep discussion about the flat earth and that movement. And I mean, it was just I'm not saying people need to agree or disagree one way or the other, but it was just a great discussion where you can hear both sides. Mm-hmm. So we commend you on that.
That's what a discussion has to be. People get this idea that a discussion has to be an argument. It doesn't. It doesn't. Here are my views, and your views, and then we can look at.
Very few people agree with you though on that. You have to know that you're a rare breed in that you can definitely have a strong opinion, but you can sit there and shut up and listen to somebody talk about why they don't agree with you. I mean, you have to know that that's a rare quality these days.
Yeah, it's a good thing for sure.
I think that's helped a lot on my channel too, because a lot of times I have Ironton Auditor co-hosts with me, and we get an eclectic group of people that come in there, and we have a good time, and we discuss these things, and we have fun with it. We have fun with it. That's the most important. And
you talk about everyday stuff too. I mean, you talk about you have to drive 120 miles to your, grandchild's soccer game, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, so it's you kind of throw in some real life stuff. I mean, well, it's all real life, but I mean some everyday activity that you're doing as you discuss some of these important issues.
Yeah.
So, well, I think one of the coolest things is my comments. I get a lot of comments, and of course, I get some that are just crappy. They're just people.
We all get them. We all get them.
But they're very few. I mean, my like to dislike ratio.
Leave the galaxy.
Yeah, my like to dislike ratio is always up in the upper 90%. And the comments are what get me, is because people say. Most common type of comment I get is, I don't agree with everything that you say, but man, you really make me think. And that's what I want to do. I want you to think. Yep. I don't want you to just take somebody's word for something. This is another part of that programming. They'll put some guy up on the screen and he's got some books behind him, and they put a little chyron under him, and famous scientist, and you've never heard of this bird before, right? But there it is. There's the illusion.
They never read any of those books. They're just there. Right. I have books in my apartment I've never read, but I feel smarter just because they're around me. It's ridiculous. I'm glad you hit on that. They always put books behind somebody to make them look smarter.
Sure. And you don't know who this guy is. He might have just been some drunk in the alley. They sobered him up and said, we'll give you a hooker and a bottle of Ripple if you read this script. You don't have any idea. But people, because of that illusion, it's a perception deception, and we're victim to it all day. But through that perception deception, it feeds into that there are people that are smarter than me that already figured it out. And so I'm going to pretend I'm smart and parrot what I just heard. That's what happens.
Well, yeah. Well, we're running out of time, but I just want to say, I totally I understand your points. I'll just be honest. At the same time, it doesn't make a whole lot of. There's some things that don't make sense to me, which is we all have to live somewhere. We have to live somewhere because we're existing. And I'm choosing to live in the United States because I was born here and because my family live here. And I could choose to go live somewhere else. And a lot of people do, but I'm choosing to live here. I don't want to go out and find criminals all day. I don't want to decide what justice they have. I don't want to find people that are speeding. I don't want to protect other people's homes. I don't want to provide, I don't want to determine who has the right to drive and who's capable of driving and who doesn't. Those are all things that I don't want to do because I only have so many hours in the day. So, yes, I'm grateful that there's an organized system that can do all that other stuff that I don't want to do. Like Darrell Brooks, he obviously can't be trusted to be in society because he hurts people. So somebody has to take care of him. Somebody has to put him somewhere. Someone has to determine where he should go. I don't want to do all that. So I'm grateful for the government that they do organize all that stuff for me. I totally agree. There's obviously corruption. There's corruption in every single group.
Yes.
And there's nowhere that I'm going to be able to go unless I find an island by myself that doesn't have an established government. So I'm here. I'm in the government. I'm here. The government is benefiting me. I agree that there's corruption, but they're benefiting me because they are doing something with Darrell Brooks that I don't want to do. I don't want to find him. I don't want to house him. I don't want to feed him. I don't want to make sure his rights are protected. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to scam bait today. I don't want to maintain roads. I don't want to, have relations with other governments.
Here's the thing, though, CJ, and this is just food for thought. Okay, first off, government comes from two Latin words, governo and mentis. Governo means to control. Mentis means the mind. It is in your mind. That's why you are in a state. It only works if you believe it. Okay, so with that being said, if you have to rely on somebody writing something down on a piece of paper or telling you that you're not allowed to do a bad action, or if you rely on religion in order to be a good person, you're basically nothing more than an animal on a leash. You see, it comes from you have to be the change that you want to see.
I am. I definitely am the change that I want to see, and I'm doing it within the United States government laws, respect for the government, and I don't understand the logic of why I would rebel against them. How it benefits me or how it benefits society is the logical thing that doesn't make logic to me. Why? Because no matter where I go, I'm going to have the same fight because every country has a government. Every single country has a government, right? So, and every single country has good things about the government and corrupt things about the government, every single country. So I'm not going to escape that fact.
Well, I'm gonna blow your mind a little bit. You've been under the illusion of international sovereignty. In other words, this illusion of countries and nations for pretty much the better part of the 20th century and up till now. It is an illusion. And if you don't think so, you just take a look at some of the things all the time. All these different countries hate each other. They want, we don't agree with you. But they all agreed on COVID, didn't they? They all agreed on the vaccine, didn't they? And the countries that didn't, well, their leaders got replaced rather quickly, too.
Yeah.
We are not allowed to, they all agree that nobody's allowed to freely explore Antarctica or the North, for that matter. They all agree on an altitude limit. You see, this is the thing. You start seeing this idea that, this country hates that country. But the reality of it is that's an illusion. That is an illusion because you see these people palling around behind the scenes. They supposedly hate each other, but they don't. They don't. That's a show, just like WWF. And it keeps the people placated. It keeps them distracted.
Well,
they don't really see what is actually going on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that dignitaries and the popes all went to Antarctica. Why? John Kerry goes to Antarctica on election night. That's like the Super Bowl for those scumbags, man. But he goes down there. Why? Why does the UN flag show every continent on Earth except for Antarctica? Antarctica is shown to be the wreath of Apollo. The wreath of Apollo is a crown. That's a symbol of control. That's what the Caesars used. So why is Antarctica pictated as a symbol of control? What is really going on?
Right.
Food for thought.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts, and I hope that you felt like you could do that respectfully, because I do have respect for you and your opinions, and really appreciate you being here. And we'll definitely have you again on, because I know it's not enough time to talk about everything. But thank you. So we really appreciate you coming by.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Man.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and we'll have you again on some other time when we can talk about it further and complete, and if we agree to disagree, I do it with complete respect, and I feel like you do it too. So it's really great having you.
Cool. Great to be here. Thanks for having me, CJ.
Yep. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Later, man. Thank you. See you on your stream.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we just, sorry, there's a lot of meat there. We don't really have time to get into all of it because it's almost time for my bathroom break and my breakfast break. Again, we respect all of I respect his right to have opinions and stuff. And I'll just say, Chester and Tate can say their final thoughts of it. I don't encourage anyone to, my opinion is I do not encourage anyone to rebel, or I'm not saying rebel against the government, because there's corruption there that we need to handle. But everyone is getting benefits from living in the United States, or wherever country you live in. You are getting benefits. For one, you're getting a piece of land to live. And by living in that country, you agreed to abide by their laws. Period. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Then you can move to a different country. Many people do move to other countries, especially between Canada and the U.S. A lot of people have left the U.S. and chose to live in Canada, or vice versa. Carl Rock chose to leave New Zealand to live in India because he wanted to. But you live here. You have to abide by the laws, like them or not. And I don't feel it's productive to spend a lot of time on, trying to fight at that point, or encourage other people to think, viewing government as an enemy. I don't think it's productive to people. That's just my opinion. It's a resource for us. And again, I say that with the complete understanding that it's corrupt, as is every government is not perfect. There's corruption, a lot that we don't know about. So that's just my final thoughts. And Take and Chester, what do y'all think?
I'll go first. If you want to come to a country with there's no government, you're welcome over here. We seem to change ours every couple of weeks.
Okay, good to know. There's no government in the UK, Take. Hello.
Okay.
You want to go over there?
Not really.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
we're done.
Okay. Well, it was super great having everybody on today, for having Dave on. Thank you so much for all the resubs. Really appreciate that. Chester, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, that's okay. If you want to lighten the mood, I've got some dad jokes.
Yeah, sure. Hit us.
Are you really, really sure?
Yeah, hit us.
Okay. Why is it so cheap to throw a party at a haunted house?
Why?
Because the ghosts bring all the booze.
But ching. Good one.
I don't get why Marvel doesn't use the Hulk to advertise more. He's basically one big banner.
Oh, but ching. There you go, Care Bear. She's been wanting some dad jokes.
Did you know your pupils are the last part to stop working when you die?
Yes.
Yep, they die late.
They die late.
Good one.
Perfect.
Okay, this is the last one.
Okay.
What's the difference between a well-dressed man on a unicycle and a poorly dressed man on a bicycle?
What?
Attire.
That's a good one.
Very clever.
Great conversation. Dave, if you're still around, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I hope we hear some more, because there's some more aspects to Dave other than sovereign citizens. He mentioned briefly Flat Earth. I'd love to get him back. Assuming you want to, CJ, you're the boss.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely will sometime. Really appreciate him coming on. And it was definitely a good discussion. I'm going to go back to my Monday premieres, because I tried it on Friday. I didn't really like it. So y'all be aware, on Monday I'll be having a premiere. And Take put out a really good video yesterday. So if y'all haven't seen it, make sure you go check him out. The link is subbed above. And I guess that's about it for announcements. And thank you all for all the members and the mods for all your support. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, y'all have a great day. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
You're connected with support. How can I help you?
You're picking up the phone pretending that you want to help people, but you really want to rob them.